Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very 33rd episode of Cool Down Timer. I am your host, Neefu, and with me today I am joined by Zingles, Artman,
Cheska Sebulba,
and from the frozen wastelands of Alaska, which apparently aren't very windy today, Mark Hamilton.
Oh, you got me, Zingles. What? Cheska Sebulba.
Scooty Dopot Slamo.
Dude, am I the only one of us that's actually kind of excited for episode 7?
No, man, I'm excited.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm so in. Like, I wasn't at first, and then I saw the trailer, and I was like, that doesn't feel like Star Wars. And then my following thought was, it doesn't feel like Star Wars.
Well, I don't know. I've never been like the big Star Wars nut or anything. I like Jedi as much as the next guy, but I'm definitely excited to see what he does with it. He can't do worse than George Lucas. It would be physically hard.
Who is apparently now doing a weird animated movie that looks kind of like if you took Epic, the animated movie Epic, and
Oh yeah, that Strange Magic.
made it weird. Yeah.
That's what Luke's up to. That looks weird. But no one's a bigger Star Wars nut of us three than me. I think we can all agree on that. And I'm pretty
There was a
excited.
time I would possibly disagree with you, but
definitely.
it's been a long time since that time, so take it away.
No, I read so much expanded universe that's about to be kicked out the window, and
Dude, it's already gone.
good riddance, because I didn't want to spend this movie watching them fight talking intelligent raptors. Actually, I did. I did want to see them fighting talking intelligent velociraptors.
Well,
in
you might
space,
just have to
but-
wait for Jurassic World for that from what the trailers are.
But when I saw the trailer, I was like, yes, because I love the world, well, not the universe of Star Wars, and seeing a black guy in a Stormtrooper outfit on Tatooine was like, yes, this is perfect. I want to know what this guy's story is. Is he a Stormtrooper? Or just
I did
this
think that
guy's-
Definitely.
I actually didn't like that shot. It just was silly in my mind.
I liked it because it was so unexpected.
Well,
And
that's
yet,
besides the point.
I want to know who this guy is. I want to know, why is he so out of breath? You know, what just happened? It's a
Sex.
poor choice.
So,
Place
okay,
you.
so
You're on a sand dune.
we have to talk about it because it set the internet on fire. The lightsaber.
I like Stephen Colbert.
I think
Yeah,
I
I was
think
gonna
I like his explanation.
I do too, and I think we're all agreed that we like the design.
I'll
right?
say
all three
this
of us.
much: when I first saw that, I thought, "Oh, that's stupid." But then it grew on me, and I was like, "Well, it's not worse than Darth Maul's saber, you know."
I like Darth Maul's saber, dude.
So-
When I was a kid and I saw that, I was so into Darth
However-
Maul's
Yeah, me too.
double-bladed lightsaber thing.
Just saying that double-bladed lightsaber is like the most
Dude, not as
impractical
impractical as the
design ever.
friggin' Inquisitor
And,
from Rebels.
I don't think we'll count things from Rebels.
Well, no, that has a specific use. I actually think his is
Okay,
more
in
useful.
Star Wars Rebels, there's a character called the Sith Inquisitor, whatever, and his lightsaber has like it's the lightsaber. It's a double-bladed lightsaber in a circle, and what he does is he like holds the center of it, and then the lightsabers spin in a circle. Was that what it was? It's been a while since I watched that episode.
Yeah, it spins around. He holds it in the middle and it spins. But like what it's used for is he can just walk down a hallway and there's a force field of laser energy in front of him.
Wait.
And if you're thinking
So is
of
this like a curved lightsaber blade?
no, it's a okay. So
they're straight
imagine
blades.
imagine a circle with a handle in the middle and a blade coming out of the circle. I'm doing this injustice.
Oh,
I'll draw
I
it on
understand
one of
what
our
you're
characters.
saying now. I got
Yeah,
you.
and so the circle part around the handle spins, so the lightsaber spins
you know,
and circles around his hand.
That just seems lazy. All the other
does,
Jedi can
but if
block
you-
shots without resorting to an electronic
Yeah.
device.
Personally, I don't hate it. It seems kind of practical. But I don't like Darth Maul's design because well, it's just
Because
you
that's
didn't
not
use
how you.
pole arms
Yeah,
that way.
that's not how you fight with a staff.
Yeah, you held the staff like a spear more. And which would have been actually kind of awesome to have like a 6-foot lightsaber with a 3-foot handle, but no, they had to go with the way the Boy Scouts. What?
Like a 6-foot handle with a 3-foot lightsaber on the end of it.
Either or.
That'd be a real lightsaber.
Either or, that would be cool too. But I mean, even if they wanted to do like a medium handle and then like a ridiculously long spear, I'd be okay with that. I think it would look stupid, but
Hey, why not a gun?
Does the lightsaber energy have weight?
have what?
No, that's its big benefit.
Oh,
It's-
wait.
So
it's weightless.
what? Okay, what is stopping someone from creating a just giant lightsaber? So like, let's say that the Death Star, instead of being built to shoot like a beam, it was built to just extend a giant lightsaber.
Because
I think that'd probably be more practical on like a destroyer or something. I mean, yes, no. Obviously, this is not incredibly practical in any way, shape, or form, but it'd probably be more practical on a destroyer than Death Star.
they did.
Well, I have two answers to that. Okay, one's in universe and one's just making sense. And the one that makes sense is we don't know what the energy requirements of a asteroid-sized lightsaber
But
are.
it has to be small. It has whatever the energy source is. It's small enough to fit in your hand, light enough to be
I
carried.
know, but it's like we can't know because it's not real, and so we can't like do the math on it. But
That's
in
just a
universe,
theory, a Star Wars theory.
In universe, they use crystals to focus stuff, so maybe you could say you can't get the right kind of crystal that size.
We found a crystal, the biggest ever discovered. It's the size of a planet.
Though, honestly, what's a more effective weapon on a frickin' spaceship? A giant lightsaber or a giant laser cannon that blows
No,
up
it's true.
planets?
Though, I think
Well, what about this then? What about instead of smaller, a kamikaze fighter that is like that has something like that as like a drill bit.
because then you need
Of sorts.
kamikaze.
2 words, my
Then
friend.
you need kamikaze pilots. In
Well, droids, that's easy. But 2 words, deflector shields.
yeah,
Remind me of how lightsabers plus deflector shields work. I don't remember a
I
specific
don't think
instance.
Listen, remember when the droidicas showed up in episode 1 and they had their own personal shields?
Mm-hmm.
Did Qui-Gon slice them in 2, or did he run away?
Well, he was running away because the
He ran away.
lightsabers, or not the lightsabers, but the laser blasts were kind of overwhelming. At least that's my...
Yeah, but he's Qui-Gon frickin' Jinn. If he could cut that thing in half with a lightsaber, he would have charged
Liam
at
Neeson
it.
wasn't cool by that
obviously-
point.
he has a very particular set of skills.
Not at that point. I was about 15 years before I got those skills.
Okay, so in lore, in I guess not in lore, in expanded fiction,
Expanded universe.
they actually did have.
That's not canon.
I know it's not canon, but they did.
But it's the best we have.
They did kind of deal with some of that stuff though, to an extent. They had lightsabers that could change the length, and you could pre-program the length in, and so when you're fighting, all of a sudden you could just extend your lightsaber out and catch your opponent off guard. And then they also had, from my understanding anyway, they had just big lightsabers that had longer blades used for bigger races. But you should technically be able to use that if you were a smaller race. But I don't know. Maybe the handles were really big too. I got nothing.
And to put this topic to rest, there was a expanded universe book titled Darksaber, which was about people trying to build a giant super weapon that was basically a giant lightsaber in space.
All right, I have one hope.
So
And it
what
failed
happened?
miserably.
Why?
Because it's really impractical.
Yes, but why did it fail? In practicality, what was the specific occurrence that caused it to fail? Was it just somebody being clumsy? In which case, then it could still work. Was it actually just the design having some inherent flaws?
I will tell you.
Okay.
I am
It's
into
been a
this. I
long
want a
time.
giant lightsaber.
I will tell you
been a long time
why
since
we
I
don't
read
have
it.
giant lightsabers. Because it's a space opera, and he doesn't want giant lightsabers in it. That's why we don't have giant lightsabers. Jargon is why we don't have them. Also, it would be completely impractical to have a lightsaber the size of an asteroid. That's stupid. That's a stupid idea.
No, okay, well,
They just run away from you. You know, you just fly away. And shoot at it with your lasers. Fly
Radiation.
backwards, shooting at it with your
Radiation,
lasers.
that's why. Cancer. There.
Lightsaber cancer.
is this like what the Pacific Rim thing where they just kind of hand wave away the fact that the Russians were in the Mach 1 or whatever, Mark 1
Yeah.
Jaegers and just somehow don't get the cancer that Idris Elba got?
Yeah. However,
That wasn't even on our list, lightsabers. What were we supposed to be talking
back to the lightsaber thing really quick. I really like the idea of having a crossguard on a lightsaber. I think it could have just as easily been made out of some lightsaber resistant metal, but that's just a practical design. And in
Cortorsis or
in a universe where, you know, lightsaber or sword combat has advanced to this level, it's only natural that they would have developed crossguards at some point. Because there's so many moves where you take their sword up to the hilt of your sword so that you have the tip of your sword to wiggle around at the end.
I also really liked how it wasn't just a solid beam, it was like bleeding off molten material.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that's going to be like that more crackly energy, if that's going to be all the lightsabers, or if his is special. I'm assuming his is special.
Okay,
Moving right along.
I'm done.
Your lightsaber idea is stupid.
Cortorsis or I
no,
block.
seriously. No, in the past 10 minutes since we've been talking about this, I have now thought of an entire fleet of small spaceships that have a lightsaber projector type thing at the front, and they are used to drill to the center of a planet's core in order to cause the planet to explode.
Yeah, but you know what would be much more practical than that? Shooting the planet.
Wait. Okay, let's say you can drill to the planet's
You're
core.
not drilling, you've got a lightsaber.
I'll give you that. How is that going to blow up the planet?
I don't know. I'm sure you can come up
Planets
with
aren't
some.
packed with explosives.
Nifu, it's clear you've never blown up a planet before. Stop talking about what you don't know.
This is amateur work.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, gravity or something.
But here's the thing. Okay, now, don't get me wrong. It's laughable to me how many of the Star Wars evil villains' plans is, let's build a big thing that does something gigantic. It's never anything. It's always, let's build the biggest super laser or the biggest death machine or even...
Or the biggest, what was in the KOTOR, the Starforge robot
yeah,
army
the
maker
Starforge or whatever, yeah. And so it's like...
Ugh.
But seriously,
Okay,
if you're going to blow up a
I
planet...
did not. No, listen to me. I did not want to get into Star Wars episode today, but we're doing this now. The reason the Emperor greenlit multiple super weapon projects wasn't because they're practical, but because they are weapons of terror with which he could prevent widespread rebellion.
But they
Blowing
got
up
worked.
Alderaan was a calculated move because they were one of the people being like, hey, you can't just get rid of the Senate. And it's like, well, guess what? I did, and now your planet's blown up. Anyone else want to say something? Anybody?
So he would definitely went with it's better to be feared than be loved. But you know what?
Yes.
I think that whole thing was that whole thing was brought in afterwards, and that really it was just because that was the best idea they had.
Well, it's a great story. But yeah, super weapons are pretty impractical. They're weapons of terror, but not of real effective war.
What's your favorite super weapon?
Star Wars or ever?
Favorite?
Never thought about that.
Yeah, no.
I've never thought of that either. Well, now I need to get my brain in order. What
No, I have one, but it's super obscure.
What is it?
if we had a larger audience, someone might actually know it.
You mean if we had an audience?
It's from
Go ahead.
It's from the Rod Albright series of books by Bruce Coville about a kid that goes to space, and I loved them. But the main bad guy of the series was building a super weapon called a time bomb that would start to unravel time itself, so that as soon as he activates the bomb, time would start repeating itself over and over again at shorter and shorter intervals until it was only the moment at which he activated the bomb, which was also the moment of his greatest triumph and greatest happiness. So the entire universe would be stuck in that moment.
Huh. Okay, then.
It's the scariest super weapon I'd ever heard of.
Oh.
I have a runner-up super weapon now. That's how better I am at this than you guys. And that's the bomb from the second Planet of the Apes movie that the psychic people worship.
Yep, don't know what I never saw it.
It's been
Speaking of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was really good. Moving on.
Okay. I don't have any.
The only thing that's coming to mind are the helicarriers in Winter Soldier. Because that's a pretty intense super weapon. I mean, if it weren't for the, weakness. But then again, what is a super weapon without some really simple, easy to access weakness?
It's a poorly designed super weapon. That's what it is. What's your problem?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go with that because that's the only one I can think of right now. Moving on.
So, now going back to the Death Star.
We're never going to leave Star Wars.
No, this is the Star Wars episode. Just
we had a whole list.
Going back to the Death Star though, like you gotta think like, all right, so the Death Star is huge, right?
Massive, the size of a small moon.
Why?
That's no moon.
There's no way they needed all of that room for the energy.
Well, I mean, if you watch the scenes where they fire the things, they cut to quite a few spots where that beam is like,
Yeah.
And if you look at the plans that R2 brings out, there's tubes inside.
Oh, goodness. Tubes.
That takes up space.
I bet the inside of the Death Star is just one giant mirror puzzle. Where it's just bouncing around, getting stronger and stronger as it bounces around until it can finally get released from
that's
all
how mirrors
8 points.
But like,
Well,
okay,
each of the mirrors is like imbued, I don't know, whatever, a word, with energy. So
you're terrible at
sounds like
sci-fi.
saying a warlock.
You're terrible at sci-fi.
This is why
it sounds like a warlock went to these mirrors and blessed them.
You could have
imbue you with eldritch energy.
Now I'm just imagining the Emperor with like a staff, just like, let's put eldritch energy over here.
This is why it takes me so long to write things, because I come up with like really, really weird roundabout ways, and I need to go, hold on, simplify this.
Yeah.
Now, Zam,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. It's massive. It's full of thousands of stormtroopers. When you don't even need, I mean, it's not going to land anywhere. Why do you need stormtroopers? It's fat. It's huge, covered in turrets, and I'll tell you why. It's because it is a weapon of terror. They could have made the whole thing as just like a long, skinny ship with a tube at one end with a disc around it.
Maybe.
Do you think they pressurized it section by section or all at once?
Well, here's what I
would ask a space engineer.
Here's what I can't
I don't know, but
comprehend.
No, let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me just finish real quick. If they had done that, someone could have said, all right, it's scary, but maybe we can blow it up. It's just a big tube. Instead, they took that tube and they encased it in thousands of pounds of Durasteel and corridors and turbo lasers until it's just a big fat ball where you can't even get at the sensitive bits because there's literally miles of stuff in between you and them.
Except
and that
for
just
a
says,
tube.
yes, they forgot one tube.
So, okay.
And that just says to people, you're doomed. You're doomed.
But what's the practicality of a ship that you would have to take an hour-long elevator ride down or through?
Down to the canteen in the Death Star?
Yes.
It's not like they've got courier. Well, they got the mouse spots, but it's not like they have to walk to the other end.
You're telling me that there's no situation where anyone would have to walk to the other end?
Do you realize how many people are on the Death Star?
I could just imagine the Death Star having like, what are they called? Like the motorized sidewalks. or the
Motorized sidewalks. It doesn't even have safety rails.
I don't know. I could just imagine watching Darth Vader. He's just did not want to walk the full distance. I mean, his I can't think of words today. His robotic limbs are just really sore today. So he's like, I really don't want to walk. So he takes the walking sidewalk, moving sidewalk, whatever. Words are hard today.
There could be whole cities inside the Death Star. And there could be people
Well, you know what?
that have friends in other cities and never see them. That's how big the Death Star is.
I mean, have you seen Spaceballs? Like, I can only imagine that they have video call walls in the bathroom.
But that doesn't matter.
To be honest, I don't really think it's the size of a moon, actually.
No, it's not. But
like, there's that famous line where it's like,
That's
"That's
no
no
moon."
moon," but it is huge. But compare it to the size of a Star Destroyer.
mhm.
It's a lot bigger than a Star Destroyer, but it's not really like
Well,
the size of a moon.
the Star Destroyer has the same problem though. I mean, it's massive.
Yeah, but they're freaking awesome.
They look like Death Pizza, but they're massive. They're too massive. There comes a point where you don't need to be that big.
Well, they've got multiple sizes. There's the Victory class Star Destroyer, which is about half the size of your Imperial class Star Destroyer, which is your average one, which is
How
a third of the
canon is
length
that?
of the Super Star Destroyer. It's super canon.
Super canon?
No, seriously, it's super canon.
Yeah, okay, so let's just go big or go home. The Super Star Destroyer. That's big, right? It's huge. It's stupid big.
Well, that one definitely is canon because it was in one of the movies.
Yeah.
It's the one that slams into the second Death Star in the Return of the Jedi. That thing is big.
Also, if we're going to talk about Star Wars, since we obviously are, what is the freaking point of the Stormtroopers' armor?
Fashion statement.
Didn't you see the news? It's super useful. This guy has been dressed up in Stormtrooper armor and walking across Australia to raise money for charity.
Okay.
And he got bit by a super venomous snake on the leg, but his armor saved him.
So it's literally done more good in real life than it has in all of the Star Wars movies combined.
Well, it's like, it looks cool, and I think it can stop blaster shots, kind of.
It looks awesome, but we never see it. I mean, even little blaster pistols, they go right in the chest and then dead. If it was like in the arm, like the part where the armor doesn't cover on like the arm or the neck, that's fine. I would buy that, but and that doesn't even go into the problem of they don't have neck protection on their Stormtroopers.
Well, look at modern body armor with the whole face open. That modern body armor that soldiers go into war with, it won't stop a direct hit by a sizable round. But it'll catch glancing shots, and that's good enough for us to equip everyone with it.
Right. But
I think it's the same thing for Stormtroopers.
I don't know. They kind of make it out to be like, this can stop laser blasts. It just chooses not to 95% of the time. And I mean, they're supposed to, and I don't know how canon this is. This might have just been things from expanded stuff, but from my understanding, personal shield generators to an extent were a thing. Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking Knights of the Old Republic, aren't you?
Yes, but yeah. I don't
know how canon that is because we never see it in the movies.
Right.
Ever. Is it in Clone Wars
and it'd be super
at all?
handy.
Because that was left as canon.
What was?
Not the second Clone Wars series.
I didn't watch that, so I don't know.
The 3D animated one, not the 2D one.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Did they deal with that at all in there?
I don't remember.
I did not watch any of the 3D.
It's been I don't remember.
I was like, this is weird.
I don't know.
I got frustrated with it because friggin' they turned General Grievous into a pansy.
Well,
General Grievous was so cool in the third movie.
I think if you
And
went
then
back
he
and
just becomes
rewatched
an
it, he might not
incompetent-
be as cool as you thought it was.
It has been a while since I've watched it.
I never
He
really.
was mostly cool in the 2D Clone Wars show.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, he mostly just kind of coughs and is menacing and shouts orders, and then gets in a kind of cool fight with Obi-Wan, which ends in him getting blown up.
Spoilers.
His insides anyway.
Well,
so-
maybe it's got the like Atlantis: The Lost Empire syndrome, where you remember it as looking really cool, and so your little kid imagination took it and ran with it. But then when you rewatch the thing that it was from, you realize how dumb the thing it was from actually was.
Right.
I mean, Grievous is all right.
And the other thing,
You know?
okay, so I did recently rewatch Atlantis: The Lost Empire, and most of the movie, I watched it with a friend of mine, and most of the movie, that the friend and I were like, I had that toy. I had that toy. I had that toy. I got that one at McDonald's. The end. Moving on.
Okay. How very
None
anticlimactic.
of this was in the script, people.
There's,
Star Wars, lightsabers, Atlantis, none of it.
we got our episode title right there. Star Wars, Atlantis, and lightsabers. I don't know. I also have problems that all of the stormtroopers shoot from their hip. Doesn't make sense.
Well, that's just poor training.
That they're supposed
Which
to
would
be very
explain the
well
lack of
trained.
accuracy.
Are they, though? I mean, the original clone troopers, those were really well-trained guys, all cloned from a bounty hunter and given war training. But I think most of the stormtroopers in the original movies at that point are just conscripts to be like, hey, join the Imperial Army.
We need
we'll give
30
you a blaster.
We need 30 million
You
men.
can rough up locals.
They deal with that in Rebels a little bit, and yeah, it's just kids who have been
Yeah.
trained a bit.
And they're like,
Especially like on Tatooine, you gotta imagine those are not the Empire's finest things sticking around Tatooine.
well, and that's an interesting way to look at it, and I definitely kind of buy it, but they weren't
These
planning
are not the droids
that.
you're looking for.
Oh. Now, my question with that specific scene is he mind controlling all of them or just the leader? And is the leader then going like, all right, come on, guys, let's go. There's another old guy that needs to be yelled at over here.
In the end, I don't think it matters.
It doesn't.
The effect is the same. You know?
Huh, not if you... Well, no, I'm not going to go there.
So, but then what do you do to explain the fact that the stormtroopers on the ship with Darth Vader aren't that much better?
No, what do you mean not that much better? Okay, listen. Stormtroopers on Tatooine shooting at the Millennium Falcon about 50 feet away and people running towards it miss every shot. Stormtroopers on the ship Vader's on, door opens up, there's a smoke scream, and they kill every dang rebel in the entire corridor. That's a difference.
Okay.
Those
I'll
are
buy
good
it.
troops
I'll buy
versus dust jerks who hang out
Yeah.
on a desert planet because they suck. They couldn't hack it. Go patrol Tatooine, get drunk, beat up locals,
Comb the desert.
sweat like crazy in your armor.
You said to comb the desert, so
Well,
we're combing it.
does the armor have like cooling things in it? Because it totally could. There's buttons on the back.
I bet that's what those buttons are. AC.
I
Water
love the design of the Stormtrooper armor so much. However, I do hate that they imply that the eye holes are actual eye holes. In armor with eyes that restricted, you would need some kind of camera feed so you could actually see.
Well, would that be that hard to believe?
Oh no, it wouldn't. But there's a line where Han Solo is wearing a Stormtrooper helmet, and he goes, "It's so hard to see in these," or something like that. And
Maybe you didn't turn it on.
that would actually be hilarious if that was the case.
Did you checked out the new Stormtrooper design, right?
I have.
There's
not.
a weird like slit like along the sides, isn't there? Is it on the sides?
Well,
or?
it's just more sleek. People are calling it like the Eye Trooper because it's just more sleek and stylish. If you watch the trailer again, there's a scene where you see all these stormtroopers on like a dropship or something, and if you pause it, you'll notice the helmets.
Oh yes, yeah.
Different.
The little side thing, yeah.
How much you guys want to bet that around the time that Episode 7 comes out, they're gonna release remote control versions of that little robot?
I would bet you none dollars against that because they will. That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
This is Star Wars. They invented merchandise.
Merchandising.
And they are now owned by Disney.
Spaceballs, the flamethrower. Kids love that one.
Yeah,
I apparently today is the day that I make a ton of Spaceballs references again.
I'm
talking
looking
about Star
through
Wars.
some of the new Star Wars trooper designs, and yeah, they do look cool though. I don't know. I like the Stormtrooper design. I like the Clone Trooper design. I like this
loved
design.
all the stuff with the ships in the trailer. Just anything that involved a ship, I was just drooling over. Like the X-wings just skimming over the water, and of course the Millennium Falcon shot. Oh my gosh! If it was just a movie of that, I would watch it.
Yeah, that one was pretty cool.
Which is why
I love TIE fighters, but mostly I love the sound they make.
They do make it's like a very satisfying sound.
Mm-hmm. Have either of you guys seen trailers for Jupiter Ascending?
Yes.
My wife really wants to see that movie. Because it's right up her alley.
I don't know, man.
It's about space princesses.
Yeah.
It's right up her alley.
I don't know. I'm actually very excited to watch it. I'll just say that I'm.
Oh yes, this one. I had to Google it because I was blanking on it for a little bit.
I mean, Channing Tatum with elf ears is a little, interesting, but we all got over it with Orlando Bloom. So,
what I'm excited about is it's a type of sci-fi we rarely see, where it's not aliens have just discovered Earth or humans have discovered aliens. It's aliens have known about Earth. They actually own the Earth. They just don't care about it. It's just a backwater. They don't bother enough to show up to collect taxes or nothing.
Yeah.
But in their mind, they own it. It's like, oh, there's Earth. Belongs to what's his face.
Yeah. So I think I'm
whatever.
gonna watch that one for my birthday.
It's kind of the Green Lantern style of
No,
sci-fi.
I hope not, because that movie sucked. I
know, but like the Green Lanterns were like, oh yeah, Earth's technically under my jurisdiction. You guys are a bunch of backwards peasants, right?
Yeah. So I was doing some thinking about sci-fi recently, as I am wont to do, and so it kind of breaks down for me in like two different ways. You've got your more like Star Trek and your more Star Wars way, where your Star Wars is much more about like having a cool, fun adventure.
Opera.
Yeah, it's a space opera. And then you have Star Trek, and Star Trek might not be the best example, but something a little more, they're like, technology can do this and do these things, and we could go do this. And they try to actually explain everything off a little bit more,
They explain it badly.
They do, and that's why I said it might.
But
it might
they try to explain it. They're like, it's a tachyon flux in the warp core.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes no sense, but at least they didn't say it's a hyperdrive and leave it at that.
But I mean, Star Wars doesn't even bother. The most we get are crystals. I mean, seriously? But you know what? I like Star Wars more. But anyway, we need to see more of that kind of movie, I feel like, because we don't see very many of those now that I think about it. We see much more of the people that try to really explain sci-fi. They're like, oh yeah, there's this that does this and crazy stuff, and those can be really cool. But sometimes you just want to enjoy. It's almost more like a medieval fantasy, as far as just like magic. Technology is magic.
Science magic.
Well, no, it's about not caring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's like, this is not a big deal. In other movies, it's like, wow, aliens have shown up. That's a big deal. Who are these things? What is our place in the universe? In Star Wars, you show up to a cantina full of all craziest aliens in the world. It's like, what? I'm just going to the cantina. Yeah, there's aliens. You got a problem with that?
I'm gonna drink some blue liquid and party.
We live in Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
And I think
crazy aliens everywhere.
I think that's part of what made Guardians of the Galaxy so great.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
It's that same kind of, just.
It's a giant head floating in space? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's giants that die in space.
Yeah.
What's your problem?
That was such a fun idea. I mean, it was stupid, but it was fun.
It was directly from the comics.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Like psychic dog that didn't express his psychicness.
That was a great movie.
And on that non-Star Wars note, we've come to the end of episode
How did this happen? We had so many
3
notes.
of Cooldown Timer. I am Neefu. Zam is here. Mark
Yep.
is here. We'll be here hopefully next week. Who knows if it'll be a new
Definitely.
episode or an old episode. If you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to last week's episode where we talk about why we were gone and the things that happened. Yeah, send us questions if you want. We got Facebook pages and stuff. Whatever, man.
Hey, Zam.
Yep.
Say that thing you always say at the end of the episode.
Cool down timer, yeah.